Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Cats Whiskers TV. Now, just a quick thank you to Noah Bolton for those fantastic new titles. That's the earring. Beautiful. Well, on this week's show, what have we got for you? Well, we're going to look back at, obviously, the Panthers versus the Steelers. And we're also going to look back at the Steelers versus the Clan as Jono went up to watch that game. Don't know really why, but there you go. We're also going to talk about, obviously, the rest of the results this weekend, and we're going to talk to Big Dave about the All-Stars UK Forum. And our hot topic this week is going to be about disciplinary processes and the bans that are being handed out. But first of all, it's Paul Baum with the news.
I'm Paul Baum, and this is the news. Jono's interview with Big Dog ends badly. Dundee fan reacts to topping the league. Steelers signed 2 ex-Giants. One has a spring in his tail, and the other's here for the honeys. Thanks, James. And that was the news.
So that was Paul with the news there. Fantastic as always. A small game on Saturday, obviously Panthers Steelers. Now, we talked in last week's show about the fact that obviously... Sorry, so are you just counting the score?
Just counting, yeah, 7
now,
outs.
Now, hang on, because we're, you know, we like to inform our viewers, all 10 of them, about the ongoings of the Elite League, and we like to keep them up to date with the Panthers. Just go on, tell everybody what the score was, Johnny.
The score was Nottingham Panthers 7,
yeah.
The Sheffield Steelers 3.
Now, I know there's some fans of Paul out there as well, so Paul, could you tell your fans what the score was, please?
It was 7-3, can we just get on with it? I want to get on.
Okay, fair enough. Hashtag long day in the office.
Oh, yeah.
So, but no, last week we did talk about, obviously, you know, the first game against Steelers was a couple of weeks ago now, and we thought that maybe the Steelers would come for revenge and that it might be a tough game. And to be fair, at certain parts I do think there was little bits where it was a bit tight and the scoreline was quite close, but overall the Panthers, you know, dominated, I would say.
I think dominated is a bit... I wouldn't say we really dominated. I think first 10 minutes was Sheffield were on top. I think second period Sheffield were the better team. Outside of that, though, I think the way to describe the best, and I actually put this on Steel Talk bravely, was that the Panthers were ruthless and the Steelers were gutless, and I think that was something I take from the game, is that the Steelers, not once did I see one of their players throw a check, go and dig the puck out of the corner, and Panthers were doing that all night, and that was the difference between the two teams, I felt.
What I would say from obviously the scoreline and the game as a whole is, you know, it's not just one Panthers player that is, you know, not carrying, but is the main focal point of this Panthers team at the moment. It's very much a team performance, and you only have to look at the people that scored. You know, Benny obviously scored, and Franny, and you know, Salters and Lacko. It's a real team performance at the moment.
It is. I mean, was it 6 or 7 scorers? Six scorers across the 7 goals, and that makes, you know, that makes a team difficult to play against, because, I mean, Sheffield, we'll get onto it later, but Sheffield, for me, have only got, on that showing, that's the only time I've seen them, but the only one of their forwards that stood out was Lacroix.
Yeah.
And, you know, once, you know, if that's the situation you've got, then teams know that he's the main threat, he's the one they shut down. Okay, they'll get goals from other places, but if you're getting goals from 6, 7 different people, and then you know, that's only going to help. And some of the goals that were scored were really good. I mean, you mentioned that Benedict scored. That goal was an absolutely beauty. It's a beautiful pass in. Benedict's in the slot, in the right place at the right time. Doyle had no chance. Same with the, I think it was the 7th goal, the one that Boxhill set up.
Oh, yeah.
Some lovely work in the corner. Pass into the slot. player scores totally unmarked.
But that was an epitome of what I was talking about earlier, because Boxall comes flying out of the box, goes straight in the corner, digs out the puck from the Steelers player, I mean, loses it, digs it out again, and Lee Salters is just there in the middle with not a defenseman in sight. All he had to do was get the puck to him, and he slotted it home.
I mean, Paul just mentioned, obviously, like, you know, that Doyle had no chance there. Now, a lot was made about, you know, Frank Doyle, and obviously he was at Cardiff originally, and then the university deal fell through, and Steelers picked him up. And when Steelers picked him up, they, you know, a lot was made that maybe this is somebody that's going to challenge to be the number one netminder in the league. And so far, he's not really living up to expectations. I know it's only a couple of games, but he's not, is he, really?
No. From what I've seen over the weekend, that is a netminder who's extremely low on confidence, extremely low, like on the floor. Yeah. I think the defence have no confidence in him. He has no confidence in his defence, and that is
why do you think that, though? Because, you know, it's a new team. I mean,
the defence completely and utterly hung him out to dry all weekend, both games. He made some shocking errors over the weekend that led to goals, but at the same time you can't leave a netminder that exposed, because the opposition are going to score. And I don't think the Steelers are that bad up front, but defence and netminding, they have got huge problems, massive problems. It's just all over the place. And I think we when we looked at the roster, we were saying that Sheffield looked the strongest all the way through. So they haven't become bad players overnight. So I think the finger has to point at the coaching.
Right, well, okay, well, on that, I was just going to say, Paul, you know, Big Doug's come in, big reputation, you know, like we mentioned a week or so ago, they've taken him from Belfast. There's a lot expected there, a lot of pressure. You know, Nielsen's been with the Panthers for many years now, and it seems that, I don't know, I spoke to John O yesterday about it, but do the players want to play for Big Doug? Is it becoming a bit of a, they don't like the change that he's bringing? What do you think? Do you think that could be a problem even?
Well, I mean, change is always going to take time to settle in. So, you know,
Don't like change.
Typical. He had to go for it, didn't he? One of them. So.
Cheap's a cheap joke, it's a cheap.
I apologise on behalf of the Cat's Whiskers production.
Does give me a bit of thinking time though, so that's all right.
That always helps.
Does when you're as tired as I am. I mentioned it's been a long day in the office. But, Doug, yeah. I don't know, I mean, there's been a lot of talk on Steel Talk about this new NHL defence system they're running or something. So, you know, and you looked at the defence, and it was difficult to see how that was NHL quality, but it was interesting.
Even EIHL quality, that.
That'd work so much better if he got it right. But you know, it was interesting. John, I was saying that Doyle's confidence is on the floor. I thought that's where his biggest problem was, on the floor. There were a couple of occasions, 2-3 occasions, where the puck was on the floor and he was scrabbling round. Where up the other end, I mean, you know, the puck's in there, Kowalski, you know his hand's going to be in there. And on it, I mean, there was the goal that Fatter assisted, and where he just knocked it across his goalkeeper's crease for one of our players to come in, thank you very much, and jab it home. You know, there's something wrong there. Whether it's that the players don't like Doug, but he's brought most of them, practically all of them in. There's only really the Brits that, in the main, haven't changed. And I have to say, if it wasn't for Danny Myers almost scoring our first goal early in the first period, you wouldn't have noticed any of the Brits were there. Dowd, you know, the big second coming on Saturday night was invisible. I'm not saying he's going to be like that all season, but Saturday night, he and a lot of other people on their team were invisible.
Well, I mean, you might class it as a bit of a rant maybe there from Paul, but this is a proper rant.
Basically, tonight we were awful. We left Doyle out to dry. He's completely shot of confidence. Baldwin needs a plane ticket home. I've not seen such a terrible defender in all my life. The only players worth clapping off tonight were Lacroix, who ended up limping off with some sort of injury, it seems, which is terrible because he's been our best player so far this season. Gertson deserved his man of the match. I thought he led by example tonight. It's just a pity the rest of us just didn't do a single thing. We were awful. Michael Hicks kept blowing his whistle during that second period, made it Michael Hicks show. But Doug Christensen showed no emotion whatsoever tonight, and that filtered through to the team. The Doug Christensen that was standing on the bench of the Belfast Giants would have been raising his arms, mouthing off at the team. There was none of that tonight, and it was embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing, and changes need to be made seriously quickly because we were awful.
Now, like I say, that was a good run there from Alan, but we gave Alan a bit of time, and we caught up with him 24 hours later to see if he'd calmed down at all.
Opinions are still the same as last night. We may have outshot Nottingham, but just clinical in front of goal. You know, and you cannot afford to leave a guy all alone in front of the goal. You know, defensively positioning, we were just disgraceful. Baldwin failed to pick his man up for the 3-1 goal, which admittedly was a nice feed from Bob Wren on the backhander. But he failed to pick Benedict up off his shoulder. He coughed up possession deep in his own zone, which is just suicidal at any level of hockey. You know, the thing that really annoyed me last night was when the team needed a lift, no one stepped up to the plate. There was no physical side whatsoever. I've still not seen Stefan Meyer throw a decent hard body check, not even a mid-ice one, which is really annoying considering he's come with a lot of hype. And, you know, there's evidence of him on YouTube hitting guys hard into the boards and stuff. I just hope that tonight, even if we are possibly without Lacroix tonight, it's not long term, because he's the only guy that's been really banging those goals in as of late, and he's been comfortably our best player so far. And if he's out for a number of weeks, that's going to be a huge loss. But if that happens, then it'd be about time that the boys actually stepped up as a team, and they actually started pulling their fingers out and started actually taking the ball by the horns and actually filling in for the injured player. Whether that'll happen tonight against Braehead, I don't know. I mean, Braehead will be full of confidence, having taken Giants all the way last night. But it's not good times as a Steelers fan right now, and there's a lot of disgruntled fans, and I was certainly one of them last night.
He calmed down a little bit there, didn't he? Just a little bit.
Just a bit, yeah. I mean, you know, sleep's a wonderful thing.
It certainly is. I just want to ask one quick question before we move on to talk about the Steelers versus the Clan. Now, I know it's only been a couple of games, but I just want to get your thoughts on, obviously Big Doug, if we're talking Team GB here, GB coach, Nielsen, one of the assistant coaches. Do you think if this, you know, as the season progresses and, you know, the Panthers and the Steelers and the rivalry, do you think that's going to have an effect, or will possibly ever affect Team GB in any way?
I don't think so. Genuinely, I really don't think so. I'd be surprised if they've even started thinking about Team GB now. And I know that's pretty awful to say, but I think it, for quite a few hockey fans, and I think for the game, the Elite League in general, it comes pretty low down the priority list, sadly. And no. To answer your question, no, I don't think it is.
I mean, the reason I ask that is obviously, you know, Panthers, Steelers, the biggest rivalry in hockey ever. To have those two, I had to laugh, sorry. To have those two battling against each other, but then to go and work with each other, I mean, I don't know, I'm just putting that question out there. I mean, what's your views?
Well, I think it's like this, but it's the same in any sport, isn't it? You know, the Premiership week in, week out, the few English players that there are left in it play against each other, then they come together. And I think it's one of those things that you put on hold when you go on the ice. You know, friendships. Yeah, you got to be professional about it. So no.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying either Doug or Corey is unprofessional. I just thought I'd ask that question. But Steelers clan, you had a quiet day Sunday, so you thought you'd pop up north and go and watch the game.
Well, obviously, Ryan Finnerty's return to Sheffield Arena with his new team, his new clan team. I thought it would be quite a tasty game, and it was a decent game. Clan, good, solid, organised outfit, not too spectacular, and certainly but really hard working, very well organised, really good netminder, like their netminder very much. And they deserved the 2 points that they eventually got. Steelers carried on basically where they left off on Saturday. Poor defensively, so but both clans' opening goals in the first period were down to defensive breakdowns yet again. Frank Doyle looked incredibly shaky once again. But to give Steelers their credit, they came back into it second and third period and were probably the better team for the second and third. But you know they got into the lead 4-3. Clan came back once again and managed to take it to penalties. And I've got to say something about the penalty shots, because the Legui and Dow took the Steelers' penalty shots, two of the worst penalty shots I think I've ever seen taken. Dow missed the target completely. Legui just hit it straight at the pads. Both Clan penalty shots didn't even have to pull a move. It was almost as if Doyle moved out of the way to allow them to score. I mean, you could see from Doyle's body language that they was going to score a goal. They were going to score on the penalty shots.
Didn't want penalty shots, did
he?
He
I think he needed to go. He wanted to go and sit in a darkened room. I think
though with Doyle, from watching him Saturday night, watching some of the highlights clips, he's got a really old style. He's very stand up a lot, and you know, he's almost like, rather than moving across the crease, at times he falls over on it. But it's interesting you say that. So worse than Lacko's penalty shot.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, on the penalty shots, I listened to the interview with Jeff Legui after the game that Sims did, and he mentions the ice, that it wasn't. Now, before you do it,
bit of Diana Ross again.
Can I just say it's the same for both teams? But he does mention the ice, and he says it wasn't the best ice possible.
Really?
Do your research, Jono. Come on. But just to do a bit of, obviously, talk about the game. You know, Clan had a tough game the night before at Belfast. One that, you know, some people say they should have won and was there for the taking. Jono's egging, even though I'm looking at you, but go on.
Yeah. Well, just one thing I want to say about that is the Clan could quite easily have folded. They 6 seconds.
That's why he puts in the quality.
Second part of me question to Paul, but here's Jono.
6 seconds. I mean, they lost that game 6 seconds before the end of the game. They've got to show some real character to come back from that. They're travelling back from Belfast. I can't imagine it was the most lively trip back over to England. So, you know, to come in and then win that game in Sheffield Arena shows some real character from the Clan. But to be honest, looking at their coach, I'm not surprised.
Well, Clan
Fan Doug.
You know, talking about the journey home. I'm not even just talking about himself or the team, saying they had 4 hours sleep before going and playing in Sheffield. So that's it's a real. Like he says, the team spirit's there, and that's what gets you through situations like that.
Well, I was going to say, I listened to Ryan Finnerty's interview that he did with Seth Bennett after the game as well, and he actually mentioned that I think they got back to Braehead at something like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then they were on the road for 9. So that would equal out the 4 hours sleep that they got. But just on that, what I found interesting was to listen to Finner, and the fact that he mentioned how it was possibly a good thing that he got sacked from Sheffield, because it sort of gave him, a kick up the bottom, shall we say? Yeah. And the fact that it made him sort of realise that, not everything comes to you in sport and in hockey. And he said that he went to hockey clinics over the summer in Canada and stuff like that. But I'm going to ask you, Paul, so Jono will probably answer.
Oh, he'll just put straight in like normal, yeah.
Perfect. That he's going to be extremely happy, and you could tell in the interview that he enjoyed that one.
Well, he's going to, isn't he? it's always nice to, if somebody's got one over you, to get one back. Bit of revenge, shall we say? You know, but he's as well as, you know, sort of petty reasons like that. He's going to want to go in there and show them what they were missing last season.
Yeah.
Or what they're missing now. They were missing plenty of things last season, but
Trophies, mainly.
I thought he zipped it, but there you go.
yeah, well, you really expect. But yeah, he's going to have loved it, especially the personality he's got as well. That sort of thing, I think, is really going to cheer him.
I must say, I'm pleased for Finity as a person. You know,
Top bloke.
you know, even if it was against somebody else and he doesn't have the Sheffield, he's a decent bloke and he always helped us out on this. So well done, Finner. But we caught up with some fans after that game to see whether they enjoyed the Clan victory.
We deserved the win. I thought Steelers bit iffy defensively, but so were we, to be fair. But we're the team that came out with the win.
Great game. Clan won, of course. Steelers played well, but ultimately Clan are number one.
Thought the game went not too bad. Pretty even Stevens all the way through it. The one thing I must say this year, I'm finding that the refereeing is abysmal. And I'm not talking about just for our own club, I'm talking about throughout the whole game this year. I don't know what's going wrong. I don't know whether it's the fact that they're bringing in 2 or 3 for first time refereeing. They've a lot to learn, but don't get me started in that one, please. It has been really bad. But as for the game, I can't say, even throughout the whole week, at the moment, there's going to be a club that they'll walk away with it, because I think it's still lying wide open. It's got a long road to go, a long road. But we'll see.
Oh, this feels so much more natural. Well done, mate.
Just not as good.
Well, that's a matter of opinion. Anyway. Anyway, moving on. We're going to look at the rest of the weekend's games now, and also read out some of the tweets you've kindly sent in over the weekend. Thank you very much to those who took the time to do so. So first off, Dundee Stars' first defeat of the season at Belfast on Friday, which seems like it was a pretty good game as well. 5-3 to the Giants. So Stars' first loss, but you know they got 2 other wins over the weekend, so their sort of juggernaut rolls on a bit.
I did say last week it was interesting to see what happened when they were playing outside Scotland. I also tipped Sheffield for the win, so don't read too much into it. But you know, they're playing. You know, Giants are going to be up there. Stars, I think, are going to be up there. But you know, so they got the 2 other wins. Keep moving forward. You look at us last season. Yeah, we dropped a game. We didn't drop the one after. Got to keep going forward with these things.
And obviously we'll come onto this a little bit later when we're talking about discipline, but Keith getting a 3-game ban for checking to the head there, but we'll cover that off a little bit later. Giants then moving on to Saturday with the Challenge Cup game against the Clan, which we've already mentioned. 4-3 down, 2 minutes to go. 5-4 victories with a win of 6 seconds from time, and that's got to hurt, but shows character if you can keep going for the 60 minutes.
It certainly does, and I think the Giants have always had that, haven't they? They've had that never say die attitude. You know, as long as there's seconds left, they will try and get whatever they can out of the game. And do you know what? Come end of season, these games count, and we said at the start that it might be quite tight this season, and points are going to be taken off, special teams and stuff like that, and you've got to keep going, and that could come, crucial at the end of the season. You don't know, so fair play to them. But they've always had it in them, as I said earlier on. Yeah, they've always been that type of team.
So we've got some tweets from some Giants fans, I believe. You've got
one here from Michael, at Michael_Poke, if you want to give him a follow. 2 brilliant games, and last night, Saturday night, was one of the best he's seen in ages.
Yeah. Philip Armstrong, at WePhil56, if you want to follow him, says 2 good wins this weekend, all lines getting on the goals. At 22 Source 22, and
that's Kevin Surratt,
19,
which is Colin Shield.
Yep, we're the standout players. So
it's like Giants playing bingo, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. 22 Source 22. Who are you? Come on down. But no, he says that obviously all lines getting on the goals, which I've mentioned about when asking you 2 questions about Panthers, and it's good. You can't rely these days on just one person. So yeah, looking good.
Fife Blaze on Saturday night. Fife's only game of the weekend. Very close one, and again, shootout heartbreak for the Flyers.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you thought, is there a little bit of a hangover from obviously what happened in the Panthers? They would have wanted revenge. But I tell you what, to say how the Blaze, started the season, they didn't start the greatest, but they have got something about them this season. The Blaze have. They've got some good players. They're very attacking, and you just have to look at other results over the weekend for them to show you that they're going to be trouble. But yeah, Fife, it's difficult, isn't it, when you only have one game? Because you can put everything into it, knowing that you haven't got another one the next day, etc. But then to lose it seems so heartbreaking as well. And in that way, and what happened after the Panthers game. So yeah, they would have wanted a different result there. But it's still a tight game, and to go to pens, it's flip of a coin, shall I say?
We'll look at the what I thought was the result of the weekend shortly, which was the Stars Devils game. But Hull against Edinburgh Capitals. Capitals getting their first win of the season, 5-3 victory in Hull, and I think that one was probably not expected. I think Hull would have been expected to win that game.
Get your cliche bingo cards out. It just goes to show anybody can beat anybody in this league. We got a tweet. I can't remember who it's from. Unfortunately, focusing on this week's tweet from Random Pish, which we'll come to later, saying that they deserve to lose against Sheffield Stingrays, but Hull, but Murrayfield were probably the better side.
I think that was from Mark Lang.
Shall I read it out? Shall I read it out? There we go. Edinburgh wanted it so much more than us. Completely different team from the Sheffield game. Don't think we deserve to lose for Sheffield, yet we got what we deserved against Edinburgh. Hashtag need some consistency. Hashtag early doors.
And it is early doors. And Hull are one of them teams that, cliche bingo cards out again, can win on any given night. And I think they will put a run together sometime during the season, because they've got that sort of team who are capable of doing it.
Do you know what? If I was a betting man, which I am, I just wouldn't know with Hull. You just never know. You do not know exactly, and it's you would have gone on that and you would have put your 10 pence on a Hull win.
Yeah.
And then you go and Caps go and ruin it for you. So 26p didn't come to me.
Okay. So moving on then to the Dundee Stars with an impressive 7-0 win over Cardiff Devils on Saturday night. I mean, that to come back from Belfast after being beaten 5-3 and losing your unbeaten record, that's getting that one out your system and then some.
I believe they were looking for was emphatic.
Just a bit.
Yes, great result for them. I mean, this week's tweet from Random Pesh. We're not focusing on him exclusively, but I do.
Random Pesh, I think.
Pesh. Yeah, let me say it. I do enjoy saying it. He said, that was making fun of the fact that we one of us tipped Devils as the dark horse. Yes, Knackers Yard more like. Not my words. That's the words of @Random Pesh. Follow him, give him the abuse, not us.
I mean, to be fair to the Devils, they are without their first choice netminder and have been for a couple of weeks. And of course, Panthers go there in the Challenge Cup last night and beat them 5-3. From all accounts of the game, it was a tough game for the Panthers. Cardiff seem to have built a team that is ideal for the Big Blue 10, which they have to do. Which they have to do. But obviously, by not having that extra quality of the import netminder, which is not a slight on Greg Blaze at all, because he's come in and he's trying to do a job, fair play. But Lacosta is a very, very good netminder, and he's a big miss for them.
I think, like you mentioned earlier about Doyle, that obviously a lot of it in netminding is confidence, and with all due respect to backups and stuff like that, they're that for a reason. But to be honest, Devils, I think, have got a good player. Named Matt Myers. He's not a bad player, He looks all right. I mean, for a Brit, I'm surprised that Panthers haven't looked at him to get him.
He'll go far, that lad. I tell you, go far.
He will.
Yeah. Moving on. Moving on to Sunday night.
Can I just point something out?
Yes.
We're killing him in the drinking game tonight. We've had obviously's, we've had moving on.
Yeah.
They're going to be on the floor.
All I've got to do is fiddle nervously with the microphone, and then they've got another full house.
That's all you do, as long as all you do is fiddle with it.
That's right. Anyway, moving on to Sunday again. So, Blaze 7, Hull 4, and again a game where Blaze lost their netminder halfway through, but it seems it was only a precaution, so he should be back at the weekend. But plenty of goals in that one.
I think it's the old Kevin Keegan Newcastle. How many ever goals you score, we can score more.
It's not a bad philosophy though, and it's an entertaining philosophy as well.
If you look back to last season, that is what Coventry wanted. They wanted to get entertainment back. They wanted to get bums on seats, and I think again that's what the coach has done. He's gone out there. He's bought very well attacking players, and they are delivering. And when they score as well. So, like I said earlier on, Blaze, I think they're going to be quite tough, especially at the Sky Dome.
Yeah. Rounding up with Caps 0, Stars 3, Challenge Cup game, so not a league game, but Stars again, can't stop winning, and two wins. Coming back from Belfast and then getting 2 shutouts.
I was going to say 2 shutouts.
And that battler in their net, he looks like a hell of a pickup.
Yeah, he does. You don't get 2 straight shutouts. Without being any good. Yeah, it's been a long day.
Oh dear. Anyway, that is all of the results from the weekend. We'll be looking ahead to the coming weekend's games very, very shortly. But first, our hot topic. Obviously, there's been a lot of disciplinary decisions and a lot of bans handed out early in the season. So we asked you for a few tweets to come through. We've got Jonathan Fernley, who's of course the play-by-play commentator at Hull Stingrays. He said, judge bans on their merit, not against previous suspensions from years gone by under different rules and regulations. And I think that's quite a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to judge the incident.
Yeah.
It's no good. The problem is that part of the problem is, if you wanted to rant earlier, you might get one now. Part of the problem is that with the Elite League, they don't tell people what's going on anywhere near enough. There's all these, there's any number of jokes about the rule book, but they've got a point. We don't know what incidents are being judged on or against. So he's right. You can't judge what happened last year and compare it to this year, because you don't know if what they're being judged against has changed. So all you've got to do is look at the incident, look at all the footage, because the stuff that gets put out to us, the fans, at times is obviously heavily edited. So you often see the events rather than the provocation or what had gone on before. But I think the thing that is really important, though, is consistency. Loath as I am to say it, our friend Paddy Smith said, I avoided somebody having a drink there by not getting his name wrong. You noticed that? There's some early markers being laid down. It happens year on year. Look at Beerbrier this time last year getting the penalty. What they've then got to do is maintain. They've got to say, you do this season, this is what you get. But they've not got to let it slide. So the couple of months down the line, you get the same thing happening. He gets a different ban. You can't have that. That's the thing, and that's the thing that gets you with referees, night in, night out. You know that 2 referees are going to judge situations differently. That's fair enough. I'm finished.
Sorry.
It's when the same referee judges the same incident twice differently. That is what gets you angry. Now I've finished.
I mean, if you just look at from the weekend, I've marked them out here. So we've got Friday night. Adam Keefe gets checked ahead. That's already been given a 3-game ban. Our own Brent Henley, 5+ game for butt ending last night in Cardiff. Not seen footage of that one, so can't really comment too much on that one. But this one is interesting. The 7-0 Stars game at Devils. Andrew Conboy, who is it 4th game he's now been chucked out of after 6? I think he's finished a couple. Yeah. So, but this is a match penalty for physical abuse of official.
Yeah.
Apparently he pushed a linesman. Now he's got to expect a huge ban for that.
Well, I mean, like Paul was saying, you get consistency from the refs and stuff like that. But then, obviously, with the review system in place, and it gives everybody a chance to look at the footage, like Paul was saying. So, even if these refs do maybe miss something on the game or don't give it the full, judgment that it deserves, but that, I mean, physical abuse of an official, you can't go any worse than that. And what do you do? How far do you put that? We've seen stuff for, like a 3-game ban for checking to the head. 3 games, so checking to the head, which sometimes happens. Yes, it is wrong and it deserves to be punished. But then physical abuse of an official, that's you're taking that in your own mind, and it's I am going to do this. It's not, things happen in games that might occur a penalty and a game penalty, but physical abuse of an official, that is something that you have personally decided that you are going to do, knowing full well that you are going to hopefully get the book thrown at you. So, I mean, I don't know what you look at. I'd look at 12 games, 15 games.
If you go back, Andrew Sharp, when he was playing for Sheffield,
Well, playing is an exaggeration.
accidentally hit a linesman and got, I think, 20 games for it. For accidentally hitting a linesman.
I mean,
this looks like it was actually deliberate.
Season banning them.
I can't see them having the guts to do that. If I'm perfectly honest, I tell you what, I'll be pleasantly surprised if they do. But yeah, I think anybody touches an official, it should be season ban. I agree.
We talk about officials, and we are all. We can all moan at officials when they make a decision wrong against our team, right? But they are human. They referee for the love of the game, right? Just like people go and watch for the love of the game. They ref for the love of the game. Nobody, whether they're your worst enemy or whatever, deserves to be physically abused while doing a job. And, so the fact that these people, that make the decisions haven't got the guts, or you say won't have the guts, then in my eyes, don't do the job. Now, I know that's quite harsh and stuff like that, but this review system is there to help refs out. So that's probably the worst thing that can happen to a ref, possibly, which is debatable. There's physical abuse, right? So you're not going to go and back the person that you are supporting. So basically, if they get, I don't know, 15 games or whatever that's in line with other things from the past, what's the ref going to do then? Well, I'd go, I'm not being funny, mate, but you've literally just totally undermined me as a person and my position. So you're basically saying that anybody that wants to physically attack me, they can go, well, I'm not going to play for 12 games, who cares, but I'm going to physically abuse you. No, treat it with the thing that it deserves.
Yeah, and Aaron's entirely right. That the review system has got to back up the officials, because if the officials just hung out to dry by this, or are made to look stupid, and this is that they've handed a match to somebody and they've gone, no, there's nothing going on there. As long as it's right, they've got to back them up. But it also works the other way. There was I think it was Harvey's ban. I could be wrong. It's been a long day. Harvey's ban. In the game itself, it only got a 2-minute penalty.
Yeah, 2 plus 10, I think
Yeah.
it was.
But how do those two equate? How does a 2 plus 10 equate as a 5-game ban.
Well, of course, don't forget though that the referee only has a split second to see the incident, and then that allows the team to put the review in. So obviously the review went in, and it was
the worry of what happens at the time. You know, that how much other stuff is being allowed to go that I think people are worried about.
I mean, what I would say is put yourself in a referee's skates, right? You are in an arena, in a rink. You've got, you know, hundreds, sometimes thousands of fans ready to pounce on you the first time you make a mistake. You've then got the players from both sides, and like you just said, you've got 1 second to make that call. There's no video replays. They ain't got anybody else to go and talk to. Yes, they talk to the linesman every now and again. So he's got that one second to make a call. They're only human, for Christ's sake, and refs need all the support that they can get, and this is a perfect opportunity to go, do you know what, that is bang out of order. We don't accept that in this league. Do you know what, you're going to get the book thrown at you. And then a ref, make a statement.
But that needs to be made, not just about making a statement.
Yeah, it needs to be done. Because then a ref, if I was a ref, I'd go, do you know what, they've got my back. And I might make a mistake, but I'm only human. But do you know what, I'm going to be 100% certain in my calls, right or wrong, because then I'll know that I'll get whatever happens via the review system. But there's no point having a review system if, like Paul says, it's just going, nah, fully game, sod it. Pointless, otherwise pointless.
Well, I think we'll leave that one there. Thanks for that. I'm sure we'll be talking about that again at some point this season.
Yeah, tweet in as well, you know, after watching this as well. I mean, you know, what's your view on refs, and do they need, you know, the review system as well? It would be good to carry this on because it's going to happen throughout the season as well, and like we've mentioned, consistency, but it'd be good to get people's view on what we've talked about.
So yeah, get your tweets in. The address is on the screen now.
If you've got something you want to, if you're daft enough to want to hear us discuss, tweet in, let us know. We'll talk about almost anything. You may have noticed.
Anyway, on to happier things now. Of course, while I was in Sheffield yesterday, I managed to catch up with the organiser of the UK Forum All-Stars, David Grant, also known as Big Dave Steeler. And we talked about this summer's event, which raised over £30,000, and looked ahead to next year's event. All-Stars, phenomenal total. Was it £30,554?
Yeah.
That was just an incredible amount of money.
£30,000. Did I ever thought we'd ever raise that money? No. If I'm honest with you, the day after, when we sorted the shirts out with Rhino, we tried working out, and Garen sent us some information over Facebook, and we kind of looked like we could actually touch 30 grand and be like, no, we'll fall short. We did the final count, and when you cross that 30,000 threshold, it's like I don't think I really repeat what I said because it is unbelievable, you know, and it's an absolute testament to everybody who took involved. You know, you look at the people involved. You had people from, you know, Fife, Braid, all the way down south to Gosport, to a great Welsh contingent, and obviously Sheffield, Nottingham, and Newcastle, and now Manchester this year. It was a great effort from everybody, and it's just a huge testament to everybody involved why we hit the 30 grand mark.
So looking ahead to 2014, back in Sheffield again, but 8 teams, so more spaces, so more people can get involved.
Yeah, more spaces, more money is a theory. We did look at 8 teams for 2013. We kind of tried to control it to see, you know, if we can manage it and we know what we're working with. No, we couldn't do that because the participation, the people wanting to be involved, didn't allow us, and that's a great problem to have. So this year we decided for next season's event, we'll go to 8 teams. The charities are, you know, Breast Cancer Care and Dreams Come True, Help for Heroes, Sheffield Children's Hospital, Prostate Cancer UK, or the 5 of them last year. We've swapped St Luke's and replaced with the British Heart Foundation, and then the 2 new ones is Autism Plus and Blue Cross, which is an animal charity, which we had a lot of feedback on, wanting an animal charity. And I think this year with the 8 charities, we've got a good coverage of different areas which hopefully the money will be able to, you know, make a difference to.
Okay. So when's everything going to start kicking off as far as registration and that sort of thing?
As late as possible. No, hopefully what we'll do is, we've done for the past 2 years, those who played part in the previous year's event will have the first dibs. It's our way of saying thank you for the efforts they put in. A lot of the first dibs on the places. A month later, then it's open to everybody to get what's left. If it's anything like this year, all the spare places went after a day and a half. And when you've got over 100 roster spaces, that, to be fair, shows the popularity of the event now. And we just can't thank people enough for making it as popular as it is. So, hopefully by the end of September, early October we'll start for Sheffield 13 participants, and then the back end of October, November will be the new people, anybody else who didn't play Sheffield 13 to take the rest of the spots.
Well, thanks for your time as ever, mate, and let's hope it's another massively successful event.
Yeah, it can't fail to. It gets bigger and better. We had the comments and feedback from Sheffield were from the numbers in the stands compared to teams that play there. They were surprised at the numbers that came for a charity event. Now we're in a situation where hockey fans want to see this, and like we thank the people playing it, we can't thank the people coming along enough to watch and get involved. Hopefully next year, people have heard how good it were, will come back, and you never know. It'd be nice to put a sellout sign at Sheffield, wouldn't it, Jono?
Yeah. Well, yeah, just to see me fall over more than anything.
I can't really talk too much, and I was in the net.
Well, cheers, mate. Appreciate it as ever.
No, thank you very much.
Phenomenal effort there. 30 grand raised, all for good charities. 8 charities next year. Probably will raise even more.
That's a superb effort by everybody involved. Really, it really is. And if you've go to 8 charities, that's 8 teams rather than 6. Yeah, probably get more.
You thinking of taking part next year?
When is it?
It's in July.
July? Yeah, why not? I'll put my skates on.
That'll be worth watching.
Can't be any worse than you.
Well, that's a very good point.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, breaking news, just as we're recording this, we've just seen a tweet come through from the Elite League. We've just discussed discipline. Andrew Conboy of the Cardiff Devils has received a 6-match ban for manhandling a linesman. So, Aaron, I'll come to you first. What's your thoughts of that punishment?
Well, this might come as a surprise to you, John, after what I've just talked about for the last 5 minutes, but that is an absolute joke. Because 6, so basically what you're saying is that physical abuse to a referee, well, to an official, should we say, sorry, because it was a linesman, is just twice as bad as a check to the head. Because Keith gets 3 matches. Let me just, I'll say what, Head of Discipline Murray Hansen says. My review has revealed that Conboy made contact with an official, pushing him hard into the boards. He was also shouting obscenities during this time. These actions will not be tolerated and players will be suspended accordingly. While I'm sure all the players in the Elite League are quaking in their boots for sitting out for 6 games. Because I'm sorry, you've used the word hard, and you've also said that he was shouting obscenities. That warrants 6 games. Absolute joke.
Well, what it also says is that is the minimum tariff. So if you're pushing somebody about hard, screaming in the face while you're doing it, to the referee or a linesman or whoever, it's what have you got to do to get any more?
Well, this is my point here, right? So that's fair enough. That's a minimum tariff, right? So what can be worse than that? What have you got to do physically to make that worse? Like Paul just says, that as we've discussed, and let's not turn this into a massive rant and the thing of the show, but that was a perfect opportunity to set a real minimum tariff, not a faffing little 6-game ban. That's so. This is what.
In reality, it's a 5-game ban because he gets 1 anyway because he got a match, which he's already served. So he's only got another 5 games.
Do you know what bothers me most about these things is people look at the Elite League and they say Mickey Mouse League, you don't do anything to help yourselves and stuff like that. This is exactly the sort of thing that as everybody else, every other hockey person or people around the country. Do you honestly think if that happened in another league, they'd get 6 games? No.
They'd get far more.
Yeah, exactly. So why the hell do we suddenly think that 6 games or whatever? And what disappoints me the most is that it's Murray Hansen. And I would have thought that with being an ex-referee from only a couple of years ago, he would have looked at that and gone, do you know what, if that was me, I wouldn't have stood for that personally as a referee, and I wouldn't have liked that to happen to me. So he, again, from his background, you would have thought he would have took that into consideration. But really, if I'm an Elite League player now, and I see that 6 games, it's pathetic. It really is stupid. I mean, whatever. It's just a joke.
And I think he's not getting at you've just brought up a different sport, obviously, but Paolo Di Canio, famous incident quite a few years ago where he pushed referee Paul Alcock when he was sent off, fined £10,000 and banned for 11 matches. So, you know, I mean, okay, it's a different sport, but that's sending a message. You're hitting them in the pocket, and 11 games out of a 42 game season. That's, you know, you're talking 25%.
But you say it's a different sport. Why, all sports can learn from each other, and they can all, you know, talk to people in the other sports and stuff like that, and see and discuss things. Just because this is ice hockey, doesn't have to say, right, we're ice hockey, we're not taking into account anything that happens in any sport. It's still the same offence, it's just in a different sport. So why are we so different to that? You know, that's just less than half, you know, just under half of the 11 games.
There'll be an argument, and I know what the argument will be. It'll be, well, you know, there's only so many imported players, and we don't want teams to play short. You know, fans are paying their money,
but without a referee, the fans have got nothing to go and watch.
Exactly.
Do you know what? If I was a referee, and this is taking it to, I'd say, do you know what? I'm not doing it. Boycott it. Do you know what? If they turn around after that and said, do you know what? I'm not refereeing this weekend's game because I fear for my safety. And I don't think you're backing me up. Do you know what? I'd actually applaud them for that, because something's got to happen soon. Because what happens then if somebody gets a real serious injury in that sense? What you're gonna do? There's got to happen at some point where a line's drawn up under everything and serious action is taken. Because otherwise it's just going to carry on, and it's ridiculous. You can't do it. You just can't do it.
Okay, Paul's found another one. It's from Canadian hockey player, uppercuts ref in the face, banned for life from university hockey. That's the sort of ban that you see, and that's Canada, and that's, you know, that's the home of the game as such. They're not messing about, are they?
And I'm sorry, but it goes back to the fact of people look at this league as a Mickey Mouse kind of league. Now that's what people say. That's not, you know, I'm not saying that's my own personal opinion. I'm just saying I've spoken to people
from outside. It's very easy to see why it would be seen like that.
Look, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of hard work that goes into the Elite League, and things are improving every season. But it's things like this that they let themselves down on.
Put them back to square one.
Taking one step forward to take 3 steps back. Yeah. And I mean, what can you? I don't know. What can you say? I just think I find it more because it's just I feel sorry for the ref and the linesman. That's who I feel sorry for. That's why I'm quite vocal on it. Is that these are people that are doing it for the love of the game, and they get done, and nobody backs them up. So why would they want to go and do it again? Realistically, why? Why would you? And that's why I say if they went to and boycotted the next game, fair play to them, and then you'd have the trouble of, well, you can't find a referee, you can't find a linesman. Well, why do you expect that you can't find a linesman? Because you don't treat them with the respect that they deserve. But I'm going to show up now, because I'm getting a bit red in the face. I'm getting a bit hot. I'd like to apologise to anybody that I have offended, but that's my own personal view.
That rant was brought to you in association now. I mean, no, I agree with everything you said. I don't think you've got to apologise. You didn't say anything that would have offended anyone. You know, I think I would like to think that most people watching this show would feel the same way.
Let me know. Let me know on Twitter.
Yeah. And anyway, shall we look ahead to the weekend?
That's if there are any refs. Yeah.
So, officials permitting. We'll look at quite a few Challenge Cup fixtures coming up this weekend. So only 8 fixtures this weekend, 4 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday, 5 of which are standalone Challenge Cup games.
Seems to be a lot of Challenge Cup games recently. It just seems that that's what they are.
Yeah, well, that's how it works at the start of the season. New fans. Anyway.
It's actually a joke. I was just trying to lighten my mood, but you've just ruined it. So thanks.
I'll do my best. Anyway, so Devil Steelers, that could be a tasty one.
It could, or it could be dreadful. You know, you've got a team that's low on confidence versus a team with a backup netminder, probably. And I could go either way. who knows? Who knows what's happening?
I think that one could finish something like 10-9 or something.
It's a great opportunity for one of the teams to get back up to winning ways and to get a bit of confidence into it, though. To be fair.
You've also got two teams that are going to be
Short over here. Hello. You've also got two. For those who didn't hear it first time, you've also got two teams who are, I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Lower confidence.
No, not low confidence. Short of a player or two.
there we go.
Yeah, because obviously, we Steelers lost Lacroix in
Big
Saturday's
loss.
game.
Big loss.
Massive loss for them. Devils will be without Conboy and Lacosta as well.
So, moving on, huge game, probably biggest game on Saturday. Elite League game, Panthers against Giants. That's I think that's one where one of the teams has to send a message if they're going to try and put a stamp on the Elite League title. I wouldn't like to call it. I like to think Panthers win, but Giants are a good side.
I'm going to go Panthers purely because Keith being banned for it. I think that's a big loss for them. Their first trip over here. You want your captain and you want your tailsman. They're in your team. Aidy's first visit as well. That'll be interesting to see him back here. But I actually feel quite confident. Actually, to be fair, I'm not saying I think it will be a tight game, and I think there will be nail-biting moments. But I think Panthers will win that one as well, because I think with the last result, obviously the weekend just gone very positive against Steelers. I think they'll be looking to dominate against the teams in our conference, and I do feel the Panthers win there.
I think another important factor is with Keith missing is Darryl Lloyd probably won't be able to get up to his usual tricks because he's got no one to back him up.
I'm sure he'll still get up to his tricks. So
he'll have a go, but I think we could be seeing him running to the bench quite quickly.
I thought you were going to me to comment about that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you say Panthers Giants is the biggest game of the weekend. I fancy Fife Clan. Think that could be a cracking game. Two real decent teams in the atmosphere that is Fife Ice Arena. Could be a good game.
And then also finishing off Stars against the Capitals, the reverse of the Challenge Cup game that took place. Yeah,
can't see anything else, can you?
You can't. Sorry. And I'm sorry, Caps, but let's look at it realistically. A team, Stars, massively high on confidence. Lost one game all season. You can't see anything other than a home win there, I'm afraid.
So put your money on a Caps win, everybody.
Okay, moving on to Sunday, and it's the reverse of the Steelers Devils in the Challenge Cup. So,
everything we've already said about the game on Saturday.
Just probably with some added needle because of what goes off on Saturday night in the Big Blue Tent.
I'm going to go away wins for both.
So Steelers to win
on the Saturday, Devils to win on the Sunday.
That's interesting. Yeah. Blaze Stars, there could be a game on Sunday.
Good game. Really good.
Be goals.
Yep. I think see how Stars managed with the travelling with the game the night before. They did all right this weekend. Got a flat tyre as well coming back from Belfast, I understand. Yeah. And what is it with buses in Scotland breaking down?
Not just in Scotland.
But this is where the Stars. I think we'll see how good their defence and netminder is playing a tight rink like the Sky Dome. Fans on top of you.
Flying as well.
Blades are playing really well.
By the same thing, isn't Dundee's rink pretty much a carbon copy?
It is,
of Coventry.
But with the greatest respect to the fans in Dundee, I think that the atmosphere in the Sky Dome is a little bit more hostile than what it can be.
A bit more rocking, isn't it, really? And I think with their performances of late, I think it'll be another rocking night there, to be honest. But, I think it'll be a tight one, actually. But I think it'll be
a test for the Stars, really.
For both as well, though, I think. For Blaze as well. Can they perform against, the most informed team in the league on their home? This is maybe a banana skin, some people would say, that you might take it lightly, I don't know, but it should be a cracking game.
Caps v Clan in the Challenge Cup, away win.
Who knows? Very probably, but Caps showed against Hull last weekend that they can pull a result out, which leads us nicely onto the Hull versus Belfast.
Well, yes, there's an interesting game. I mean, I think if you was putting money on that game, then you would have to go with the Giants. Yeah. But I said it earlier in the show. Hull are one of them teams that you don't know which Hull Stingrays are going to turn up, and if the good Hull Stingrays turn up, they can give Belfast one hell of a game.
Giants second game of the weekend though, isn't it, as well? It depends how Saturday goes. Hull's only game of the weekend as well. Can that be, like I mentioned before, sometimes I think that can be a hindrance, to be honest. But I think I'm actually going to go for a Hull win on that one, I think, to be honest. I'm going to go for a 4-2 to Hull. 4-2 to Hull.
I mean, I think it all depends a lot on the game that Belfast get from us the night before.
Yeah.
It's our only game of the weekend. We can throw everything. I think we don't need to leave anything in reserve for the day after. How will Belfast deal with that? Will they look at it and think, we've got 2 games, or will they go all out to beat us and then see what they've got left against Hull? We'll see.
Okay, well, we will be reviewing all those games in next week's show. But thanks, Aaron, thanks, Paul, for joining us, and thanks you for watching. Once again, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.